I think that carbide inserts are the best thing since sliced bread. Don't get me wrong, high-speed steel tools provide a better finish, are more durable, and less expensive. But for a parting tool, I prefer to use carbide inserts. When I first bought my parting tool, I was breaking inserts on a regular basis. The lathe would chatter when I parted off metal. Occasionally the tool would dip, gouge the metal, and break off a piece of the carbide insert. I tried tightening the gibs on my lathe and rotated the compound slide to different positions. Nothing seemed to help. One time, I stayed up all night, then it dawned on me. I could support my parting tool with my lathe's cross slide. Luckily for me, the parting tool I bought was easy to modify. I will show you how I stopped breaking carbide inserts. Ready? Well, let's get started. I started by positioning the parting tool so that its cutting tip was aligned with the lathe center, using a live center. Next, I rotated the tool post until the bottom of the parting tool was at a convenient spot to take a measurement. Using a telescoping gauge and a vernier caliper, I measured the distance between the parting tool and the top of the cross slide. My distance is 1.94 inches. Your distance will most likely be different. If you don't have a telescoping gauge, you can make a simple gauge, then measure the distance with a vernier caliper. The screw that holds my parting tool's carbide insert in place is a 4mm by 0.7. I removed the screw and set it aside. The screw hole was drilled all the way through the parting tool's body, but the hole was not threaded all the way through. Using an M4 by 0.7 tap, I tapped the hole all the way through. The screw I selected for this project is a 25mm, roughly 1 inch, M5 by 0.7 panhead screw. I used a short length of 1/2 inch round cold rolled steel to make the support. I made a light finishing cut on one end, center drilled, then drilled a 5/32 hole to a depth of a 1/2 inch, then finished it up with a light chamfer. I removed the round stock from my lathe, measured and marked the length I needed, mounted it back in my lathe's chuck so that it was ready to part off the waste material. Alternatively, I could have just cut the round stock off with a hacksaw, then finished the rough end smooth with my lathe. I repeated the process of finishing the end and drilling. This time I drilled a 3/16 hole to a depth of 1.5 inches. Then I drilled a 9/32 drill to the same depth, then chamfered the end. The finished depth of this hole is not critical. It can be plus or minus 1/8 of an inch or more. I took the work out of the chuck and slipped the M5 screw into the hole. The screw protruded out a little bit more than I needed. I measured and marked where I needed to cut. Then I mounted the screw in a vise, cutting off the waste with a hacksaw, then removed the burr from its end with a file. Using a Phillips screwdriver, I attached the round stock with the screw to the bottom of the parting tool, and I was done. I inserted the parting tool into the tool post. The tip of the parting tool was aligned with the lathe center. If the tip was above center, the cutting edge would just ride above the work surface, polishing the metal instead of cutting it. I made a test cut into some mystery metal, a hardened steel bushing. The smoke is from residual engine oil. And I was running the lathe at 840 RPM, a bit too fast for parting normally. I made another test cut, parting off what's left of a 3/8 inch standard steel bolt at 840 RPM. This time the parting tool cut cleanly through the bolt without overheating, making light-colored C-shaped chips. My parting tool support works great. I have relied on it for a couple of years to part off metal alloys, set screws, cold rolled steel, aluminum, and brass. Now my inserts get dull, but they don't break. I hope I have inspired you to make a support for your parting tool. Let me know if you have any suggestions or ideas. I have been told by others that there are better carbide parting tools that you can buy. But I will leave a link to this parting tool in the description below in case you're interested in buying the same one I use. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.